Hey everyone, Nittany Lion Roar here, and today let's talk about nerfs. So Small Giant Games just announced they're going to make a number of changes to Empires and Puzzles, and among the changes were that they were going to nerf Teleria and Vela a little bit more. So I'm curious to know what you think about that. In my last SOS Part 3 video, there were a number of comments about that nerf in particular, some for it, some against it, and it was really hard for me to tell how the community at large feels about it. So here's your chance to vote. I want you to take the poll that I'm going to put in the upper right hand corner of this video. Check it out, click on it, make sure to vote. While you're voting, I'm going to talk about these particular changes here. So to give you a little bit of history, in my SOS series, Part 1 was about some problems with Empires and Puzzles that I think are causing players to quit or get frustrated with the game. Part 2 was solutions that I think will help fix some of those things. Then Part 3 was basically to share my thoughts on some of the changes that they have proposed. And first and foremost, I want to say thank you to Small Giant Games for listening to us and listening to me. Honestly, I feel like a lot of the things that I had said and a lot of the people had said in the comments, you really have taken care and taken time to address those. In particular, if I scroll up on the announcements page here with the emblems, the emblem economy change, I think this is probably the most positive thing that's going to come out of the changes. I'm really excited about this because it's going to, just us being able to attack on offense a little bit better and not get so frustrated by overpowered defenses is really going to help things out a lot. I can't express to Small Giant Games or the community at large how positive I think this is. So I want to say thank you again for that. But in that Part 3 video, I had mentioned that I was a little bit nervous about this one. And I didn't go too deep into it, but what makes me nervous about it is that whenever heroes get nerfed, it causes a pretty visceral reaction. If you want to make people angry, start talking about nerfing heroes. But unfortunately, it appears to be a very divisive issue too, because some people are so ready to just have those heroes nerfed. So I don't know. This seems like a situation where you can't win if you're going to nerf or not nerf, But I do want to highlight, and the reason I'm making this video is because I thought one of my solutions that I said in Part 2 would make it so you don't have to nerf heroes. So first I'm going to talk to Small Giant Games, if you're still listening. Hopefully you are. And then I'm going to talk to the community at large. So Small Giant Games, I had mentioned if you put more things in our control, and if you find a way to rotate defenses more, you do not need to nerf heroes. Think about all the heroes you've ever nerfed. It has to do with them being on defense. You almost never, I don't think, Small Giant Games, you've ever nerfed an offensive hero. And that's because there's so much more diversity in attacking teams. We're trying to find synergies and move pieces around, and nobody really notices, me putting a defense up. I don't notice when it's getting crushed by some specific offensive hero. That's not causing me frustration. I have no idea, and I don't really care. But it's always the defensive heroes that get the nerfs because the defenses are so static. They stay the same. If there's a good hero, it's there and it's there for good. So, that was why I had recommended about rotations in war. If you can make some of those changes, you won't ever need to nerf a hero. Even if you make a mistake in the future, you give yourself a little more wiggle room, because even if the hero is overpowered, it's not going to stay there in one position, frustrating everybody. So I hope that you'll consider that as you're thinking about balancing heroes. Yet again, I've actually made plenty of videos where I've talked about how nerfs just really upset people, and I'm not for nerfs because of that. It makes people feel shortchanged. It makes them feel like they invested a lot in your game and a lot of time and energy and effort. They're really proud of this hero they got. It's a good one, and then all of a sudden it's not good anymore. So you have to be really careful of that. And again, if you really listen, I thought really hard about a lot of those solutions. You've already taken into account a lot of them. I'm sure I wasn't the only voice. I'm not going to pretend to be the only one here who has recommended these things. You certainly have lots of beta people who are saying a lot of the same things, I'm sure. But I thought that I specifically came up with the solutions I did because it would actually prevent you from having to nerf anyone. Now, I want to speak to the community at large because I think there's the potential for an overreaction here. Once again, I'm hearing people say Teleria and Vela are worthless. I should be able to turn my hero in and get compensation for it and things like that. I get it. Nobody likes their good hero to get hit like that. I put the changes up here so you can look at them specifically. Teleria's direct damage is going to be decreased from 130% to 90%. Health regeneration decreased from 306 HP to 274 HP. Inherited HP for the minions reduced from 13% to 9%. Now, Vela's change is the attack status element to all enemies decreased from negative 34% to 24%. I think they recognized that attack down for all the attacking heroes was too high. All right, community at large. EMP community. Hear me out. These aren't that bad. This nerf is really not a big deal. I mean, did anyone really care how much damage Teleria was dealing in the first place? That's not what makes her good. Does anybody care all that much about how much she's healing there? I mean, kinda, because that's what makes her a better offensive hero if you're using her on offense too. It's really the healing that makes her good. What makes Teleria so frustrating is her extremely high defense. The fact that she's a paladin, so she gets more defense. The fact that she gets minions, which is more defense. And she slows the mana down. I mean, it's really those things that make Teleria frustrating. So, no, I do not think Teleria is going to be useless. In fact, I still think Teleria is going to be the best tank in the game. And as long as defenses aren't rotating, I'm going to keep on using Teleria in situations where I feel like I need to be the absolute best. I don't have Vela. I also think that this nerf to Vela is not even that big of a deal. And in fact, the first time they nerfed Vela, I think they actually buffed her by accident. They were trying to make it so attacking with red teams wasn't so frustrating. But what they ended up doing was making it so that attacking with anybody against Vela was frustrating. So she actually got buffed with that attack down for everyone. Going from negative 34% attack to negative 24% attack still isn't even that much. I honestly think you're not going to notice much difference here because what's getting nerfed is not really the stuff that's making these heroes overpowered in the first place. So I wouldn't worry about it. If you have those heroes, you can keep on using them. They're still going to be good. They're still going to be awesome. I do get the frustration a little bit, but what they're attempting to do with this change is to increase the diversity in the game. I think a couple of things I'm considering here are that it doesn't really make them that much worse, so I don't think it's even accomplishing their goal of increasing the diversity in the game because you can keep on using these. You don't have to trade them out. But then it's not even accomplishing Small Giant's goal of increasing diversity, so why do it in the first place? You know what I mean? You wouldn't have to make this nerf at all if you just rotated defenses. You could leave those heroes exactly the way they were, and once in a while when green tank comes around in war, Teleria is going to be an overpowered tank, but not for long because soon enough she'd rotate out. You could move Vela around on defense. Frankly, I'm looking forward to a lot of the war rule changes. I'm really hoping they make nerfing heroes obsolete, though. So please consider that as you're making changes to war rules. That if you do it right, you'll never have to nerf another hero. I mean, hopefully you'll continue being careful with how you design these in the first place and listening to beta players and things like that. But you will give yourself more wiggle room if you do mess up on heroes. And all these other changes here, and I just want to point this out and put things in perspective, like some people had also mentioned about these season 3 buffs. Frankly, first of all, the buffs are little. They're not super significant. But second of all, I'm okay with the little nerfs here because I have a couple of these heroes. Like Jot just came out. I got him. I have Tyr. I have Lady Loki. I actually haven't gotten a whole lot of season 3 heroes though, but it's nice to know that a couple of the ones that I did get are getting a little bit of a buff. Honestly, I felt like the season 3 heroes were, I wouldn't say underpowered. I honestly felt like they were about right, but it felt like when Atlantis came out, those heroes were a little bit more powerful, and some of the event heroes were a little more powerful. So I think they're just trying to even it out. I think they saw power creep and just wanted to balance a little bit. But anyway, okay, so the main point of this video is the changes to Teleria and Vela. Because once again, there's something here that has the potential to feel bad for players, and it's overshadowing all the good. I actually mentioned why this is my psychology of randomness video. So if you haven't watched that, go check that out. That's one of the videos I'm most proud of having made, but it also doesn't have as many views as some of my other videos, mainly because it's a long video, but I really dive into the psychology. I have a psychology background, so I dive into the psychology of how our minds interact with a game like this. And one of the things I had mentioned in that video is that negative things are more salient to us than positive things. That if things feel bad, we're going to notice that more than the things that feel good. It's why, for example, when you get an awesome war board and you just absolutely crush an opponent, you're like, yeah, that was supposed to happen. But if you get a bad board, you're like, duh, why? SG is out to get me, because negative feelings are more salient. I'm saying that because I want to tie this back to Small Giant Games. And when you're thinking about the changes that you're making to a game like this, you have to remember that too, because if you make a change that feels bad, nerfing heroes, that's going to be more salient. All of a sudden, you're going to get people who are complaining much more about the negative change than they're noticing all of the good changes. So, last word to the community. I do hope that you'll be very intentional about the positive changes that are coming to, and feel an appreciation for those. You know, that doesn't, I mean, I get that a lot of the decisions Small Giant Games are going to make are about making money. Like, it's a business. They're trying to make money. And not only that, Zynga's involved, so it kind of feels a little gambly. I think the happy medium is when a company listens to its player base and its community and wants to try to make them happy at the same time they can still make money. That's ultimately what it's going to come down to. A business is never going to make decisions that are going to hurt their revenue, you know, like out of the kindness of their heart. That's just not going to happen. I mean, you know, if we talk free market here, like, you don't have to play this game. And that's really why I made the SOS videos in the first place. Small Giant Games, if you want people to keep playing this game, here are some changes I think you can make that people will enjoy. Ultimately, if you can please the player base will spend money on it. And that's how you vote. You vote with your money, right? And there's plenty of people who play this game for free. There's a free option here too. All right, that's enough of me chattering away. Again, I want to know what you think. So if you haven't taken the poll yet, make sure to do that. It's in the upper right-hand corner of the screen. What do you think about the Teleria Vela nerf? Are you like, no, don't touch my heroes. I earned this. I put a lot of resources in it. Leave them alone. Or are you like, oh my gosh, I'm so sick of those heroes. They're ruining the game. Yes, please nerf them. Let me know. Also, if you haven't already, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit that bell notification so you know when I come out with more videos.